This is the beginning of a new effect, from a single reference to the full flow. In this episode, I'll show how to set up everything we need: the animation, the sword, and the stage where the magic begins. Every effect begins before the first particle appears. It starts as movement, as rhythm, and as flow. The water slash doesn't exist yet. It's just an idea, a pulse I want to shape frame by frame. So, today, I'll begin from the very first moment of creation, where motion turns into energy. Every effect starts from an idea, sometimes even from a single image that catches your attention. One photo, one spark of motion can grow into an entire world of flow. To gather more of that feeling, I always start with Pinterest. Here is my board. It's full of textures, shapes, and rhythms that remind me of water. Soft and fluid, but also sharp and powerful at the same time. I'll leave the link below in case you want to explore it too. When I have enough pieces, I move everything into Miro, because I love to keep things organized. Each effect gets its own board. I save still images, sometimes short GIFs, and arrange them by shape, energy, and tone. Having it all here right in front of my eyes helps me stay inspired while I work. It's a way to see the invisible part of the effect, the mood behind the motion. Later, when I start building the slash, I'll come back here to make sure it still feels alive. Once the mood is clear, I move to the technical base, the animation and the sword. I've already found the sword slash animation on Mixamo that matches the flow I want. To export, just click Download, choose FBX, set 30 FPS and turn on with skin if you want to preview it with character. For the weapon, I picked a simple Sting sword model from Free3D, clean, readable, perfect for stylized work. I will leave both links in the description below if you want to try the same setup. But you don't have to use these exact assets. You can find plenty of great alternatives on the Unity Asset Store or on other sites that offer free or paid models and mockup animations. The important part is understanding the process, how to bring motion and props together, not the specific files. So, I'll download both, drop them into my Unity project folder, and we'll be ready to build the stage. Now that we have our animation and the sword, let's move into Unity and prepare the scene where our effect will live. I'll be showing everything here on a completely empty scene, just the essentials, so it's easy to follow every step. But you can always place your character inside an existing environment if you already have one in your project. I'll start by creating a new folder and a few subfolders inside it, so everything stays organized. Animations, meshes, materials, etc. Keeping things clean now saves a lot of time later, believe me. Next, I'll duplicate the default sample scene and rename it. This will be our dedicated setup scene. I'll drop a simple plane here to serve as the ground. Then I drag and drop the animation file we exported from Mixamo right into the project and place the character into the scene. Let's also make a quick material for the ground. I'll switch it to unlit, choose a darker neutral color, something that doesn't distract or reflect too much light, and rename it so it's easy to find later. I'll also rename the character to something shorter and clear. Now it's time to create our timeline. In the project window, I make a new timeline asset, then add an empty game object to the scene, call it water/timeline, and attach a playable director component. I'll assign the new timeline to it. If you don't see the timeline window, just open it through Window, Sequencing, Timeline. Once it's open, I drag our character from the hierarchy into the timeline, choose Add Animation Track, and then drag in the animation clip we imported. It should fit nicely on the rig, you'll see the motion immediately. I'll arrange the clips. First an idle pose, then the sword attack, and back to the idle again. Blend them a little so the transition feels smoother and shorten the parts that take too long. And that's it, we have our basic animated stage ready. Let's move further. Now that our character and animation are ready, let's attach the sword and finish building the scene. First, I import the sword mesh into the project and drag it into the character's hierarchy. We need to find the right hand bone, in this case it's Mixamo rig right hand. Once the sword is a child of that bone, I adjust its position and rotation until it sits correctly in the hand. Because it's part of the skeleton, it will automatically inherit all the bone's rotation, which is exactly what we want. This step might take a bit of time, so I also check the timeline to make sure the sword doesn't intersect with the character's mesh during motion. If it does, I make small adjustments to its transform values until it looks right. Next, I update the materials. I made the character a bit darker with a cool blue tint. That's just the mood I liked today. And I turned the sword metallic so it feels reflective and alive. Of course, we can always tweak this later. Now, let's move to the cameras. I remove the skybox and set the camera background to a flat color. Then, create 3 cameras, side, front and back view. This lets me quickly switch between angles depending on what I need to see. I try to keep the character centered in frame, filling most of the screen. To snap the camera to my current view, I use Game Object Align with View. For post-processing, I duplicate the default profile and adjust it to my taste. I add a soft vignette and depth of field. That helps smooth the line between ground and background. And finally, let's set up a Unity recorder. If you don't have it installed yet, open Package Manager, Unity Registry and search for Recorder. Once it's added, go to Window, General, Recorder, Recorder window. The interface here is very intuitive. You can record high-quality videos directly from Unity. Here I can choose the folder where I want my recordings to be saved, and make sure the recorder captures the game view from whichever camera is currently active. That way I can switch between my side, front or back cameras and easily record exactly what I'm seeing in the viewport. I love doing that to compare different stages of the effect as it evolves. And that's our final setup. The scene is now ready for sculpting the flow itself. Right now we've built everything in a clean, empty scene, just the essentials. But I always like to see how the animation feels inside a real environment. Here is a quick look at my test setup, the one I used earlier for the teaser. The same animation, the same timing, but surrounded by light, reflection and atmosphere. It helps me imagine how the final water slash will live in motion, not just as a technical setup, but as a part of a story. Now our foundation is set. References, animation and scene are ready. Everything that comes next will grow from this moment, like ripples forming after the first drop. In the next episode, water slash sculpting the flow will take the first real step towards form. I'll start creating the water slash mesh, shaping the motion, volume and rhythm that defines its flow. Because before there is beauty in detail, there is always the movement that gives it life. And as always, follow the links below if you'd like to see more of my work.